For 35 years, this sweet baby girl will be known as baby Jane Doe. If you want to know more about this case, please continue watching. In 1988, days before Christmas, the body of a young girl would be found at an illegal dump site in rural Georgia. This baby girl would go unidentified for 35 years. For 35 years, this baby girl would go unidentified, but police were able to come up with a composite sketch of what she might look like. And that is what her parents and her mother and her stepfather wanted to happen. And that is why they dumped her in that area. And now, 35 years later, they are being charged for their crimes against this baby girl. Her name is known now as Kenyatta Odom. And when she was found, although they did not know who she was and what she looked like, she was put into a trunk and it was encased in concrete and dumped at that illegal site in rural Georgia. And they don't really know why her mother would let this happen to her. But I think that anyone who would let this happen to their children should not be classified as a mother. I think they should just be classified as someone who carried the child. And this is also where the mystery of how Kenyatta died, because her sister tells the police that when she would ask her mom what happened to Kenyatta when she first went missing, her mom would tell her that she went to live with her father and that she was not coming back. But the little girl said that something didn't seem right about the story because she never came back for any holidays or anything like that. And that just seemed very unusual to her. So years later, when this story came up on the anniversary of her death, a tipster, which now I believe, which is her sister, called the tip line and said that they think that they know who baby Jane Doe was, and that is when her DNA was matched to a family tree, and that is how we have her name now. And I think whoever this tipster was, if it was her sister, I'm glad that you had the strength and courage to come forward after all these years. It's weird how they dumped her and didn't expect anyone to find her. But the strange part about it is they really must have wanted to get away with their crimes, because they lived in Albany, Georgia when she went missing or was murdered. And like I said, it was a few days before Christmas in 1988. So, DNA was not at its fullest potential yet. And they believe that she was 5 when she died, or about 5 years old. And they drove all the way from Alabama to Ware County to that illegal dump site where she was found. Now, I want to know which one of them had access to that dump site before, because that's the only way you would know that that was there, unless somebody else who had access to it told you and showed you how to get there. And although that authorities were able to determine that her death was a homicide. They could not determine the cause of death. But I want to know, did they find anything like skull fractures or any signs that she might have had broken bones prior to her death? I mean, I'm pretty sure that by the time they found her, maybe some things, like her muscle tissue had decomposed, so some of the details might not have been able to be researched. But I wonder, has she had any broken bones or anything to suggest that she had been bludgeoned to death? Or even if she had been starved or anything of that nature, because that can tell a whole lot about how she might have died. And I hope sooner or later that these monsters will be brought to justice, because not only is her mother responsible for this, her stepfather is responsible for this too. And I hope that they both get what they deserve, as far as justice is concerned, because somebody needs to pay for this child dying at an early age and not being identified for 35 years because whoever did this wanted to cover up their acts of violence towards this child and the fact that they killed her. And I don't know what her mother was up to back in those days, but you know that she was probably up to no good, because her name is Evelyn Odom and she is now 56 years of age, but she also went by the alias of Zamika Luciana, and her boyfriend Ulysses Saunders is now age 61, and they both are in the Albany jail with being charged with felony murder and cruelty to children in the first degree, as well as aggravated battery and family violence, and the concealing of death of another person, and conspiracy to conceal the death of another person, which I really hope that they are charged with all of these charges and that none of these charges are dropped. And if they can add more to this, I hope that that happens as well, because if it had not been for these two, this baby girl probably would have still been alive today, and she would have been in her 40s, and who knows what she might have become. But thanks to those two monsters, we may never know, or we will never know, because she didn't have a chance to live out her life the way that she should have. Now, I know I've said this many times before, and I'll say it again until I can't say it anymore. I believe that if the punishment matched the crime, that would cut out a lot of these children being hurt and abused and even murdered. And I cannot stand abusers who hurt children, elderly, and disabled people. I think they should be tied to concrete cinder blocks and let gravity do what it's going to do when they meet the water. I'm just saying, some people might feel like that's wrong for me to say, but that is honestly how I feel, because if this stuff wouldn't happen to these children, a lot of them would still be here today, being able to be doctors, lawyers, who knows what they could become, but we'll never know, because monsters like these, who are supposed to protect and love these children, actually are the biggest bullies that they faced in their time on this earth, and no one was there to protect them. I have put the video to the news conference, or at least what the people on the news said about her story, so stick around to watch that video. It is a very short video, so please stick around to watch that. But unfortunately, guys, that brings me to the end of this video and my commentary on it. If you like this video, please don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave me a comment down in the comment section below. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, please make sure you subscribe. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
A crime scene in the woods and an idea of what she looked like. This is what investigators went off of for 35 years, working to identify a 3-year-old girl, baby Jane Doe.
A child is so innocent and so defenseless, and they tend to hold a special but difficult place in investigators' hearts.
Last year, News4Jack spoke with the GBI about advanced technology renewing their hopes of solving the cold case Now, there's been a major development. This indictment names the 3-year-old as Kenyatta Odom and accuses her mother and stepfather in the crime. Evelyn Odom, also known as Mecca Luciana, and Ulester Sanders face felony murder, aggravated battery, conspiracy, and concealing charges. They lived together in Albany, Georgia. This is where investigators say the baby died. The indictment says Odom and Sanders put parts of the child's body in hot water, seriously disfiguring her legs and feet. They believe this is what killed her. Prosecutors say they put the body in a container, then covered her in cement. They did this to make sure she couldn't be found or identified. Then they dumped her body in Ware County, about 2 hours away. It's a wooded area of an illegal dumping site.
She was definitely placed in this area, hoping not to be found. We know that from the container that she was in.
We don't know how investigators learned her name or how they learned her mother and stepfather were involved, but a 35-year-old case for an innocent little girl may be on its way to receiving justice.